The UFL Gambling Podcast Week 5 reaction show and power rankings episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy for a chance to win 100 times the amount of money you can enter in, well, UFL, MLB, NBA, MMA, NHL, golf, and much, much more. Sign up today at Underdog Fantasy using that promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. This is America, Jack. You know how to play high-dose football?
Being played in the United States Football League.
Touchdown! Oh my God! Quarterback is toast.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL.
America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
I'm like, spring football is going to work in America.
You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Our UFL report, folks. Glad to be here. Welcome back to the UFL Gambling Podcast. And yeah, I mean, another week of exciting action. Remember, you can watch this youtube.com/@UFL Gambling Pod. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at UFL Gambling Pod as well. The action was big time, high octane, all that good shit they use in Howie Long movies on the box, on the VHS box. Yeah, that's a plug for Howie Long. Folks, look, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price, but no one touches Dundee.
3-1 ATS. Got some coin in the DFS. And I'm still hoping for Firestorm 2 with Howie Long. Let's go. If you haven't seen Firestorm, the original, fuck you doing? It's the reason why Seinfeld talks about it, that Seinfeld episode. I'm just dating myself left and right on this fucking show. Had the NFL draft. I appreciated those nice fake fans that were there in the third round, still rooting on the Commanders. UFL, take a note. Hire some fake fans. All right. I am joined by my co-host. He's back in the States, back in the US of A. Give it up for the host of the Bottom Line Bob's podcast. To call him the man in the box, a.k.a. the Bat Detective, CJ Sullivan. How you doing, buddy?
Good. We're back here in the States. Thank God. Canada. I love it. Great people, but it's just a little weird up there. I know. Big
How's
Canadian
the
Football League. Yeah, they claim foods that don't even make sense. Like, oh, we have the best Slurpees here. Like, what are you talking about? Poutine, of course, they love the poutine, and they're very nice. They're a little overly nice, you know. Like, I think they're messing with me, kind of. Like, oh, you got to try the poutine. I'm like, oh, well, I like it. Like, look at you. You'll love it. Of course you will. I mean, they were right, but, you know, fuck off. Let me find that out on my own. That's what I'm trying to say. But congratulations for them for inventing putting gravy on fries. Whatever. Anyway, point is, we're back here. We saw, and I was in Winnipeg, and they're very proud of that CFL team up there. The
Packers of the CFL, the Blue Bombers.
They are the Blue Bombers. They're dynasty up there. They wanted to make sure I got some Blue Bomber love when we came back on the air out here. So
goddamn right, go Bombers. We're also joined by third man in the boot, the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. He's been working around the clock on this NFL draft stuff. Give it up for J Mark, a.k.a. Justin. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I don't brag very often, mainly because my picks have sucked this year. But I do believe when you guys were putting your dog together, you called it the J Mark Fuck You Dog Parlay.
Yeah.
And you both ate shit.
I went 3-1. I went 3-1, but look, we saw those tornadoes.
Amazing talk right there from J Mark, by the way. The one I don't brag very often is amazing. He's in the fucking Slack account, first possession of the game, either living or dying by what happens. Dormandy's gonna fuck this up for me. I called this. Whatever. Jesus Christ. Well, he has to remind me there's a game going on.
And he goes, I don't brag very often. Well, was that your first 4-0 week?
Yeah, that's why I can't brag very often.
Yeah, that's why I don't brag very often. There's nothing to brag about. I understand. All right, fair enough.
I saw all those goddamn tornadoes going through Iowa and Nebraska. Friggin' Bill Paxton over here. Your house is okay? Everything's good?
All good, thankfully. Didn't touch down until it was just past us.
Dude, I saw an 18-wheeler up in that shit. Knocked on over on a freeway. It's pretty wild. Yeah, pretty wild stuff there. Any turbulence there, Bet Detective? Huh?
I missed that. I missed all tornadoes. I was fine. It was pretty windy up there in Winnipeg, though. That's for sure.
Get on up to Winnipeg. All right, look, let's react because I went 3-1.
Congratulations to J Mark's 4-0, by the way. Congratulations on your fraud of record of 4-0. Fair tough. Just kidding. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 games. Double-digit games, so in that regard, blowout central. If you took the week off, went up to Winnipeg,
four games.
4 games. I'm sorry, 4 games. Yeah. I can't count. But
it's the same every week. It's the same every week.
Every week.
4 games.
Well, not when you play them at the same time.
That's true. You only got to view 3 of them. Although, as J Mark put in the group chat there, Fox Sports app had you covered this week. Finally, J Mark got to enjoy all of the UFL action.
That's right.
Yeah. Nothing like a little Blandino on the phone, huh?
At a command center. It was in live in charge. The Army Command Center. J Mark was right in there.
Shout out to Sam S in the chat. It goes, Kaka for Kobe and the middle dude. He's calling you the middle dude.
I have a middle dude. I like that. Dude middle. Like dude perfect.
Shout out to you, Sam. We appreciate you checking us out.
Yeah, for sure.
And well, we're going to talk about your boys in a minute here. But game 1 chronologically was the game that I ate shit on. The Brahmas and the Renegades. God, I feel like this, I don't want to say I feel like that it really should have hit, but I'll say this. No. I hate Arlington. They quit. This is the second week in a row to me where they quit on the team. Simple shit. Just quit. Drop passes then they didn't need to drop. You know what I mean? It almost looked like they just quit.
Yeah.
Offensive line. Good God. Maybe Luis Perez can study YouTube to learn how to find an offensive line to block for him because they got their ass completely whooped. 10-point win for the Brahmas yardage wise. I mean, the San Antonio only had, I think, 39 more yards of offense. Was hoping for a backdoor, but to be honest, even with 2.5, it doesn't make sense for me to cover this game. So shout out to I don't remember what you took, CJ, but shout out to you, J Mark.
I had San Antonio on this one.
Okay.
Only because, and I wanted to play Arlington. I liked them for the first win, but I just didn't want to fade Dormandy, and just because it's the wrong place, wrong time. But I tell you what, I'm looking at some UFL future odds.
Let's go back.
I think I'm finally ready to get in on this Renegade squad at 130 to 1. 130 to 1. They can get.
They hit for us last year. They hit for us last year.
Right. They can get in there. They can sneak in this thing before I wasn't a believer, but now I finally am. Listen, that offense, Perez was good. He's still the most prolific quarterback in the league, statistically. Leads the league in the passing yardage. The defense plays good at times. They just don't get them together at the same time. That's what's been happening. Early part was a tough schedule. Now they're just a mess with the defense. I mean, a couple things were happening in this game, obviously, that were huge. The blocked field goal right before halftime.
Oh, my God.
Fucking massive.
Dude, who? I could have blocked that field goal.
That ball
I think I could have blocked that field goal.
That ball
Yeah.
wasn't tipped. That was a flat out Tecmo Bowl. You picked the same plays they did. Jailbreak. 5 guys blitzing through. How did they not scoop and score that thing for a touchdown? Now, I know the trick 2-point play conversion that went back 90 yards at a 5-yard line didn't count for any points, but it sure looked like it did. That was just embarrassing. The problem was San Antonio just ran it down their throats. That was the problem. I mean, Allison was 89 yards, love it, 95 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Can look, if I'm going to lose money, then damn it, I'm going to lose money talking shit. All right. So
I'm getting in on these Arlington. I'm getting in on Arlington 130-1 though. I like that. They're
like
reigning champs, J Mark. Why
but
are we shaking our head at?
That's what I'm saying. Is like we called this out last year. That was a phony ass championship game.
Okay,
that was a phony. That we bought a future on Arlington last year, so I feel like we should do it again.
Right.
But the difference is
now the price is right. Timing's right.
Yeah,
This is perfect. I'm in on it.
I mean, this shows how cockamamie the XFL was last year. Like, look at how shitty this team is. I understand they could have won some of these games. Like, they played St. Louis pretty good, but I'm just saying,
very well. They played very well in St. Louis.
You can't come off a championship and start out 0-5 in a fucking spring league.
No,
all right? No.
I will say time's ticking on their season. They need to get that first win. But Perez is not as much as J Mark would like to say. Perez has not been the problem. They when they do have it together, the defense isn't working out, and when a defense finally plays, they shoot themselves in the foot. And you're right. And I think they obviously when they were tight versus Houston in that game, and now when something goes wrong, they quit immediately. Like, okay, well, what's the point of this? They're in it. Then something goes wrong, and then they're like, well, back to why are we doing this? I
think another part that's tricky for the future is you pretty much got to have San Antonio lose out.
No problem. No, I mean that was a bad tiebreaker situation, right, with San Antonio.
Yeah.
Dormany's already showing chinks in the armor. He had 3 interceptions. One of them was a tip. It wasn't his fault, but he kept them in the game. They still needed a late rally to win this game. Arlington, as much as they quit, was still, very much, even though it was tied.
Well, that's what's so frustrating. It was like Arlington, like, you could win this game. You guys want to try a little bit?
I know. I'm just not a San Antonio believer, but
if they win this week, they've clinched, right? Or pretty much, like they've eliminated the Renegades, pretty much.
Probably. Yes. Well, I don't know if they're eliminated. Is that what it is? J Mark, what's the playoff scenario?
Right.
They play one more time. They play one more time. But I still think it's pretty much written if they win this week at DC that they'll be good. But hey, let's buy into that one. Plus 130-1.
That's what I got out of this. So I'm buying in.
J Mark, your thoughts on this? I know you're having a great day. You've already DM'd Luis Perez. I know on Saturday night you had a few whiskeys and you DM'd him saying, "Dude, you've always been a piece of shit." Your thoughts?
I mean, you can't win the turnover battle by 2 and lose by 10. I don't understand when they can't block the defensive line, which the offensive line was doing terrible. Why not throw Lindsey Scott in there? He can move around so much better. He's not got it. Maybe he's not as accurate of a passer. It doesn't matter. He can extend plays.
Well, and he can make your defense really have to work. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I don't get that part from Arlington. And then something that's a little frustrating. We talked about it week 1. Colby, you said it was easy to see that the Brahmas had the best running back in the league, Anthony McFarland, but they wouldn't use him. And now they're running the ball over 20 times a game. What the hell's going on here? Like, they should have done that before.
And John Lovett, I loaded him up on DFS.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
big game.
All right.
Great game for Lovett. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the real clear takeaway is, yes, I mean, the Renegades could have a win or two here. They gave up that 4th and 12 to DC, but they still look like shit. There's no way you can convince me they should have a winning record. Now, with all that, I'm saying is, like, they won the championship. And we knew watching last year, we bought a future on the Renegades. We cashed in, if you listen to the XFL Gambling Podcast last year, but we knew that was a bullshit championship. We knew that was garbage. And it's showing here.
All right, easy with the language. We don't want to go down a profane train. You know, we've been accused of going down there.
Oh,
shout out to the Reddit, or not even a Reddit user, just a reviewer who's made time out of his day to review our show and say, hard to follow. If you don't watch the game, hard to follow their profane train, which I think we need merch for that. Hop on board the profane train.
Not a true recap show, he said. You know, I appreciate that.
Not helpful if you haven't watched the games. Who watches the games? That's not how you do a show.
Yeah.
You don't know foreign opinions.
That's what I'm saying. And not a true recap show because maybe I didn't mention how much of a bitch Mr. Buster is. All right.
Mrs. Buster.
Forgot to nail that one. Buddy, look, there's
Shout
not
out to
much to
Mr.
recap. We go through the fucking stats. All right. We go through the stats. What am I supposed to tell you?
And the eyeball test to say a little bit there. Now, this was a pretty even game, and I think you hit it right in the head. And Arlington quit at the end. As soon as something went wrong, they just quit. So there it is.
Yeah.
And the Brahmas look good. Dormandy, not so great, but that they didn't have to because they ran the ball strong. Morgan Ellison as well, not just Lovett, you know.
Yeah.
7 carries for 84 yards.
7 for 84. Wow.
Couldn't stop them when they were running.
And the recap is based on people watching the games, I think. I didn't know I was talking to the UFL fan that didn't watch the games.
But he's watching us. That's all that's important. So shout out to Mr.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Just, if you can, I take back my bitch comment. All right.
Fuck
you're just an asshole. All right. All right. Next up on the slate was, you know, and ironically, that might have been the best game of the weekend because at the same time this was going on was complete domination. My lock. I think both of our locks.
Yeah,
all three of our locks. Get this.
It was not J Mark's lock. I remember that.
I locked the Brahmas.
He blocked the Brahmas.
Just as because it was just to go against your dog, Colby.
Ooh.
I like to count that as J Mark's luck of the week, if you will.
Well, we had a bloodbath going on. No Matt Corral, Adrian Martinez back. No CJ Marable, no Shark Dog, no fucking problem. This game was over by the first. How many drives did you watch of this? I was like, okay, this is over. Okay,
which is funny. Houston was kind of competitive up early on. You know, they had they missed that 4th and 1, which was crucial. I think that turned its rear ugly head. By the way, last year's XFL. We said how bad the short yardage running was, you know, that was seeming like to be a problem. And there was a couple of 4th and 1s I thought over the weekend that was just not even close. They're trying to do the push. They have none of them practice it. People are going the wrong way. They're going sideways. Like, what are we doing here?
They had a Rambo play. Remember, they're like, Rambo.
Right.
They like had the tight end snap the ball. You got like a half a yard.
Yeah.
I
was just gonna say. I also want to point out, we all had Birmingham. We're all on it on a small line. It went from 7.5 to 9.5 for kickoff. I was the only one, I believe, on the under, and that was an easy underplay. You were on it as well, J Mark? Lock that up. It was 41.5. It went off. It was 41 points with an entire fourth quarter to go.
Bastard.
that was one of the worst beats ever if you had the over.
I had the over.
Christ.
I fucking had the over.
Terrible. That over should have hit easily. I mean, the interception in the end zone, the 4th down, and the 10. Like, it was crazy.
Now, I mean, and by the way, I'm done with the chip in the ball bullshit. They show us it like, dude, that pivotal 4th and 1 on the Rambo play. They show us it like 3 plays later. They're like, back to that play, and look, here was the chip in the ball.
Yep.
It's like, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. This is, it doesn't, why doesn't it, you should almost have like a 10-yard marker, like in Tecmo Bowl when you have the kicking power. You should just have a 10-yard marker where the ball goes all game for me to buy in, because you show us it that late. I'm like, they're making it up. They're just making it up, right?
Have lasers. Put a laser pen out there, like you're trying to distract a cat or something. I don't care. Like, so they gotta have some kind of technology they can do besides a chip in a ball that they're like, yeah, they're showing. It's like those tennis animations, and it's not even real. Well, this is where the ball's on the sideline now, and there's the ball with the other balls. We got to get our camera off this chip ball.
Why wouldn't they just go right to it? Like if it was that close,
right.
you would just go right to it. Instead, they keep doing this shit.
Yeah, maybe because they're making it up and there is no chip in the ball.
Yes,
The bet detectives on this theory. They don't have this technology. They only have 500 people in the stands. They certainly don't have a goddamn microchip in the football because they're making it up.
Well, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the announcer said there's not actually a chip in there. This is the camera's view of where they spotted the ball.
Yeah, it's a simulation of a chip.
Then why do you call it?
Yeah, if I gotta hear one more fucking announcer. So when they cut to it 3 plays after, it felt like 3 days.
Right.
After they're like, well, that's what the UFL provides, chip in the ball technology. I'm like, it provides nothing, nothing. You're lying to us.
Oh man.
Anyway, Adrian Martinez, he played. And guess what? He's better than the rest of the league. He ran for 138 yards, 15.3 yards a rush.
Yeah.
Good God. Also, the Stallions just pick up this guy, Larry Roundtree Jr. or the third, whatever the fuck it was. I remember him in college, and he was a baller. But I didn't know where was he? Where was he last year?
He was a breaker.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
And he balled out. Ricky Person Jr. actually didn't do much. Thankfully, he scored 2 TDs for my DFS squad. But
thank God for Colby's DFS squad. Two TDs, baby.
12 American again.
But
I'm a cash machine. I'm a fucking cash machine.
Ship it. 100 in, 12 back. Ship it.
Let's talk about this roughneck offense with your boy Reed Sennett.
I'll tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
He threw 36 passes.
And that's what I was going to say. Speaking of DFS, I had the wrong Houston receiver, but it looks like there is value there, I think, for these teams that are overwhelmed by Birmingham, because it's going to be game script. They're going to have to throw all day and get garbage receivers. So you got Kiki Chisholm, you got Justin Hall had 14 targets, 11 for 93. I mean, that's insane. You know,
I like
Chisholm
the game
had a nice
plan.
game.
I like the game plan to get Mark Thompson 4 carries.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, because the game script, it almost seemed like he had like 1 yard. There's just nothing they could do. But I mean, I still would have stuck with it, try to slow it down as much as possible. But Chisholm and Hall were there. Sinton didn't look too bad. Shout out to that Larry Roundtree. So just good to see him back out there. He looks like he might be the feature back of now that CJ's down. Is he out for the year, CJ?
Yeah,
I don't really. Is he?
Well, I guess I don't know. I thought he was, but
that's what they said earlier. But now he's not.
Dude, how are they?
How they're not very clear.
Right.
Yeah. That's why there's no chip in the ball. They don't have an X-ray machine. All right. But I kind of like, how are they so much better than everyone in scouting? I don't understand. Like even right before the game, you know, for the Michigan game, you find out they signed Bryce Perkins. You're like, what? You're like, he's available? Like, this guy started in the NFL.
Right.
It's like you made the decision to start. You wheeled out EJ Perry there when you had Bryce Perkins available. And I didn't even play in this game, but I just find it hard to believe that it's like we were talking with DeAndre Johnson or something. If they're still out there, I don't understand it. But I can tell you this: the Stallions. It doesn't matter. This will be, if assuming they win the Freedom Cup this year, this will be 3 championships, 3 quarterbacks /4. And you look at it, the running backs, whether it's Scarborough, whether it's Person, whether it's Marable, they just got guys. They're both their wideouts won in the NFL last year.
Mm-hmm.
Their scouting department is ahead of the rest.
Yeah, this was just a mismatch. This was over before the second quarter was just over. They gave up 20 points in that second quarter alone. I mean, like we said, this was before last week. Houston was considered the worst team in the league, and I still think they might be.
They are.
And Birmingham the best, and this was just an absolute steamroll mismatch.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop on over to Sunday's action. But before we do that, I want to tell you folks out there that you're listening to the UFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and playoffs. Yes, that's right. Make sure you're tuning in all week to the NBA Gambling Podcast and the Hockey Gambling Podcast for episodes to get you locked into exciting playoffs action. Plus, it's Derby week on the Sports Gambling Podcast. Tune in as the guys get ready for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Also, want to tell you that we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, the NBA playoffs are here, as I was alluding to, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog's the easiest place to play fantasy sports play, and their fantasy pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter on a single entry. And it's a ton of fun. And Underdog's available in 30 different states, including California and Texas, and of course, the great country of Canada. So what are you doing, folks? Hop on over there. And when you do, make sure you sign up with the promo code TCESGPN. And Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back and breaking down more United Football League. Look, I want to root for DC, but I knew this was a cockanimi team. All right, 2.9 yards of play. This is a bloodbath here.
Oh boy,
an absolute but. You got some confessing to do, Bet Detective. This game 45-12. Now they did run it up a little bit. They ran it up a little bit, but
listen. 45 points is 45 points. Not good. First team to get over 40 points all year, St. Louis. St. Louis was clicking on all cylinders. It was still a game. A lot of bad things happened. 2 blocked punts, couple fourth down stops, missed field goal. I mean, it was and even Tomu's interceptions wasn't so as much as J Mark would love to say. Tomu was being Tomu was being Tomu. I don't even think they were his fault. The last one, yes, it was. First one though, he got hit. He was under pressure.
Now we got a problem.
Second one was off a tip ball drop pass. The offense still looked fine to me, to be honest with you. St. Louis obviously came in there with revenge on their mind after getting sweats from last year. They stick it to them, and a lot of those points did come in the fourth quarter when they ran it up. DC's got a problem, and it's on defense. Their defense is bad. They're giving. I mean, this is every week now. They're just getting lit up. Although
they can't run the ball, dude.
I do like they can't run the ball either. I do like their chances if the game is in a monsoon. That was the problem this week. Last week versus Birmingham.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
You put this in a monsoon, they're in there. 1 point game, 2 point game. That's all. The weather was too nice in the beer snake land.
It's true. It's true. You got to start throwing the lemons at the refs. You got to get rough.
Yeah.
First loss ever at Aldi Field. How's that for the recap? Whatever that fucking guy's name is.
Yeah,
shout out
first loss at Aldi Field. Yeah, they rushed for 84 yards on 30 carries, as you said, 2.8 yards per rush. Not good enough.
Even worse if you take away Tomu's 4 for 26. Like their running backs had 26 rushes for what? For 56 yards or something, 58 yards. 26 for 58. That's fucking horrible. That offensive line sucks. The defense sucks. I
will say that. Yeah, the O-line did not help. He did not get a lot of time. It's beyond just missing Abram Smith. The O-line is just not getting it done for him.
There's no continuity. Most of those guys weren't on the team last year. It's not like Birmingham. I think Birmingham returned 4 to 5 starters on the offensive line. This is what I mean. Continuity matters, and the same with talent, and they lack both. J Mark, your thoughts on why we're geniuses with the Kaká Battlehawks?
I mean, CJ, it's not all bad. DC's not terrible on special teams. Returning the ball, they're pretty good.
Special teams, they had 2 punts blocked.
Well, just returning the ball. Chris Brolin doing a good job returning the ball.
St. Louis almost returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. All right, now you're just trolling, J Mark. It's all bad. It's 100% bad.
Yeah, no, they are bad.
Take your flowers. Congratulations. My upset did not come through.
And then down to Francois gets in the game for just 2 throws, but I thought maybe that'll add a little bit of spark, add something, but there's a lot wrong with this team. And it starts with the offensive line, like you guys said. You just can't average 2.9 yards a play, including passing plays. I mean, 2.9 yards is bad. And I said it 2 weeks ago. I said that I thought the Battlehawks finally started looking complete on offense, and they look damn good. They're going to be hard to stop.
I got a text from my brother. I think it was regarding this game. Well, it inspired, like this game was on, which inspired the text, I think, regarding the fact that, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts. I know you guys didn't do the USFL podcast with me last year, but my brother was a co-host, and he's still, he's a football junkie like me. We'll watch anything, and he's still playing DFS in our DF. He's the one who actually starts our DFS that we invite you to play, and he DMs me and he's like, or he texts me and he's like, dude, is it me, or was last year's USFL just much better quality football? And I thought that was interesting because I heard Moose Johnson talk about this, that he says this is the best variation because we're mixing both 16 teams down to 8, which I kind of agreed with that when Moose Johnson said it. I go, yeah, it probably is the best. But then I thought about it, my brother NC Nick's point, and he was like, yeah, he goes, is it me? Because I think the New Jersey Generals, the Philadelphia Stars, and New Orleans Breakers are all, and even the Pittsburgh Maulers, he said, were much better on the line of scrimmage than these guys. And I don't know. Do you guys pay that close to the USFL? And if so, do you feel that way?
Well, as you said, they ran the ball much better in the USFL last year than they are this year. That's for sure. I feel like that's kind of like the XFL almost not rubbing off on them, or the lines just aren't as good. But it does seem like there's not even the effort anymore. A couple teams that do make the effort, and when they do make the effort and they work at it, it turns out well for them. So
yeah, no one can really run the ball in the league. And I think when you look back at the USFL last year, you had Birmingham could run the ball. New Jersey certainly could run the ball, and New Orleans wasn't bad at running the ball. J Mark, what do you think about that statement my brother said?
Yeah, what's interesting to me, because I do think that you see a lot of issues with this league, and sometimes it just seems like they're trying to make it just too entertaining, and the football quality is not as good. What's interesting though, it's the same players. These are the same. There's some of the same guys from the USFL. You wouldn't think you would have lost that much from one league to the other, but something does feel a little off, and maybe it is just the teams they decided to keep.
Yeah, I think that one will circle the Houston Gamblers / Roughnecks, and then Seattle Sea Dragons I think would have made more sense, and then obviously the ones. But another thing is, I also do think the coaching. I think Mike Riley and Bart Andrus are good coaches, and to me, they're probably. If I had to power rank the coaches, they'd be higher up than what we currently have, with the exception of Skip Holtz.
Better than Curtis Johnson.
And Curtis at the gas station right here is better than Curtis Johnson. Anything else you want to say? I mean, CJ, do you feel all right about the Defenders? They got a huge game at Audi Field here with the Beer Snake this week, because if they win this, they're back in the playoff mix. They're taking on San Antonio. Is my point.
No, I got it. They play. Yeah, there's still time for them. It's getting short on them as well. It's not looking good. It's not clicking good, but I still think they have talent there to do some damage if they get in the playoffs. They're not a team you'd want to absolutely face right now, sure, but I think they have a ceiling that's high. That other teams and the rest of the league I don't see. Even with teams with better records, like I still like their chances better than like if I had to play the Brahmas or something like that, or even the Panthers. So a lot of these teams you can just throw a blanket over. They can't do the things that DC can do. Obviously, they showed it last year. And I know they're not the same team as last year, but they do have a nucleus that can get things done. Does it look good? No, of course not. But I trust that coaching staff too to make some adjustments. Greg can't let this defense. Maybe he'll learn his lesson with the blitz. But and a lot of those stats, of course, shout out to Cyclone Keem Butler, who J Mark's own and I, who tore it up. I took him out last second for Kirkland, my DFS roster, for my big fan receiver. He blew up, and at that point it almost looked like DC kind of quit too. When you have devastating plays like punt blocks and missed field goals, and like he's kind of getting away from him, they're like, all right, let's shut this thing down.
They just look like all year they've looked like a sloppy team to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was extremely disappointing after last week. I know it was a bad weather game, but they still played Birmingham as tough as you could possibly play them, losing on the last second field goal.
With them starting Matt Corral.
Right. Well, sure. But why would you want a running quarterback in bad weather, So this felt like a major step back for DC. So hopefully you can just chalk it up to. And St. Louis came in with revenge on their mind, like I said before too, and they're looking better and better each week. They look extremely balanced, St. Louis, that's for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Sam S. who says Anthony Beck will win Coach of the Year. Tony Meatball, Coach of the Year. Now
I really feel attacked. Let's calm down with Coach Tony Meatballs, Coach of the Year.
Look, he says UFL's top running back was put for 3 games. I don't know. I'm not talking about the running back. I'm talking about the line of scrimmage. The line of scrimmage. If you're watching all these games, to me, there's only one team that's like completely dominating the line of scrimmage, and that's Birmingham. I would say St. Louis is definitely making strides to get better and better each week, but Birmingham just seems to me, when I watched the USFL last year, I thought, to my brother's point, was that I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say that Philadelphia couldn't run the ball like that. They were more of a finesse team, but I thought New Orleans and New Jersey certainly were better on the ground, and even Pittsburgh, even though I know the whole defense knew that they were going to run the ball because they couldn't throw the ball. But anyway, the final game on the slate was another ass kicking.
I'm just like a Tugboat's comment. Yes, the Bet Detective did sniff that out. A lot of bad things happened. This is his comment there. That's why I'm the Bet Detective, Tugboat. I sniff these things out. A lot of other people don't see. I kick the tires. I'm a little gumshoe.
Panthers 35, Showboats 18. Why was Danny Etling not starting before?
I mean, he was. Their entire offense changed with him just because it opened up running lanes with him too.
Yes. Well, and like I said, I imagine Bryce Perkins is better than Danny Etling. I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you give him a week, do you get him on the field? All of a sudden, you want to talk about the real sleeper. I think we'll see. I know you're talking about, Birmingham and St. Louis. I think Michigan could still be that team to fuck up. But I think that's a scarier game for Birmingham. Well, I don't know, because I guess the championship game's in that bullshit Battle Dome. You know what I mean? So man, that's a home. That's stupid. They should put it. That should be in Canton. Make it neutral. Anyway, dominating performance by the Panthers, and Memphis kind of came back for a minute there. That
fumble when it was 13-0 at the end of the second quarter, they got scooped all the way back to the 10-yard. That was the entire game. They score there, it's within one score there. It's close, and from there they were just playing catch up. But
Etling, 67% completion percentage, 175 yards, 8.3 yards of completion. I'm sorry, when you watch EJ Perry, he was completing his average completion was 3.7 yards. What?
Oh, that's what I was saying. Throw the ball over 5 yards, and then they won't stuff the line, and now you can run the ball. Next thing you know, you got Wes Hillis getting 3 touchdowns.
Dude, 160 yards on the ground. 160 yards on the ground.
But you needed someone who can actually throw the ball forward for that to happen, and that's what they did.
Dude, if you add Bryce Perkins, who's mobile, who I think can pass like Etling.
You already trying to fire Etling? What you doing? He's coming out. Got his first win, his first start, and his win. He looks great. Here he is.
He's like, why wasn't this guy starting? Yeah. Now why won't they start the other guy?
Now put him on the bench. He doesn't run enough. Run Perkins.
It's the UFL. Don't you play 2 quarterbacks?
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Breaking news: Banks missed his first field goal. By the way, the super kicker.
You get outside of that fucking dome. You get outside of that bullshit dome, and then you start kicking in the elements, and all of a sudden you're human. Okay, yeah, I believe it.
He missed 2, didn't he?
Yeah, if I got to listen to Jay Feely talk about kicking today is so much better. Yeah, all right, it is, because half the fucking NFL is domes, and there's no more baseball. Before you'd have to kick it on some fucking dirt, round in second base. You fucking asshole. Anyway,
can I say my favorite stat line from this game was David Davis's box score? You look at 6 for 101 a touchdown. That's pretty good, which he is. I love David Davis. He's in my lineup almost every week. He had an 82-yard touchdown. He had an 82-yard touchdown. So subtract that from the 101. So now you're looking at 19 yards 5 catches on 16 targets.
Good God.
What the hell is happening over there? I love David Davis. And Williams had decent numbers. I don't understand his numbers, although his percentage was 51. He threw for 250 and 3 touchdowns, but also 2 picks.
I'm sorry. We've watched a lot of spring football. I can't recall a time got 16 fucking targets to
16
one wideout.
targets and 19 yards, basically. His targets almost outgained his yards if you take away his 80-yard touchdown. Which you can't do, obviously, but still. And no Victor again another week. What's going on? How they can't get Victor going on the ground? It's insane.
Nakua, another interception.
Yes.
That guy's a fucking dog. I mean, J Mark, what'd you make of this one?
Yeah, I don't know if Victor's got tread left on his tires. I like the guy, but he ran hard with the Generals and yeah, just not able to get going. Maybe it is just the offensive line, though. The Panthers, I thought they were going to win this. I didn't think they'd win it like this. But to your point, you were talking about they are kind of a sleeper. I think Arlington only won last year. I know there was the Luis Perez trade, blah, blah, blah. I think they won because their defense was so good. Panthers defense is damn good. So to your point, I mean, they're very much in it. And they're very much a team to think about if you want to sprinkle some on a future.
Well, like I had hit on this, earlier in the year saying they got way better at wideout. They got way better at wideout. And the problem was they still had EJ Perry. Now if Etley can continue to throw like this, or like I said, Bryce Perkins, who might be the best quarterback in the whole fucking league, guys. All right. If he comes in.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I watched him at Arizona State. I watched him at Virginia. He started some games for the LA Rams. Has anyone else in this fucking league started in the NFL?
I will say those were traumatizing starts though for the Rams. Those were like, oh my God. If he ever plays again, we are betting against him no matter what the situation was.
What did he do? Let me pull up those stats.
You can pull up the stats all you want, but I think if any UFL coach even saw a clip of that, they're like, no, I don't care how much better he is than anyone on our roster. I don't want that anywhere near my team.
19 of 34, 56% completion percentage, 161, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. But here's the real thing to me. You ready for the real one?
Sure.
90 yards rushing, and he only started one game. 90 yards rushing in that fucking game. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's get it going. Come on, Panthers. Get out of that Cockadimi Ford Field. Get down there to the factory in Ypsilanti. All right.
Also, I want to do a quick shout out. I don't brag much on here, to quote one of our co-hosts. But I immediately was on this Memphis team not being good. Even when they're 1-0.
Wait, didn't you take Memphis last week?
Of course. Yeah, I had them last week. But because I believed in Troy Williams, and Troy Williams did give a little spark of offense to him. They did change it. I liked him a quarterback, but Carnell Lake is just lost out there. And this defense is just as bad as DC.
I think the defense is better than the offense.
They've given up 33 points a game last fucking 3 weeks.
They had 4 turnovers.
They've lost 4 in a row by double digits. The only game they won was versus Houston. And that was the opening week, of course. But I guess there's still talent on there. I don't know. But I think Carnell Lake and this defense, it's nothing's going right for them. 45-1, maybe. But you guys have to sell me on the talent. I never saw it. They just look like a team that finds ways. They look like a team that finds ways to lose.
But talk to me about this Michigan team, because I was razor sharp on these Panthers being legit.
Listen, I know you want to bench your LSU Etling guy already, but
for a Super Bowl champion, and let's not forget, his dad Bruce Perkins played in the NFL and also at Arizona State. His uncle Don Perkins played 8 years with the Dallas Cowboys, and Paul Perkins also played in the NFL, former UCLA running back. He's from a family of football. Get him in the game.
I'm almost agreeing with our fucking Reddit troll. What's his name, Mr. Dandy? It's hard to follow this profane train. Why don't you do your Perkins side spinoff show? Because I agree with you. And I was never a Michigan believer, but now that they have something, they do have what it takes to beat Birmingham. They played them. They can do a rock fight with them. They have the defense that can slow them down and keep them slow pace down. And now if you can just throw the ball a little bit, that sets up their running game. They don't become so one-sided like this. You have the Nakua brothers out there. Now they're more like your Jets, your Rex Ryan Jets comparisons, where they'll battle you 13-9. They might lose it or they might win it, but that's what it's going to be every week, Yeah. But now they can put up some points, and who knows? So and that's at 9-1. They have a nice little. That's not a little bad long shot to take this home for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about this game, J Mark? I mean, we could dive into the stats here. We know Michigan's just and the Showboats. What they ran for? Man, they have the worst run. That's what I'm saying. I know that's a USFL team.
Just one stat to go over here. Cost me $3,100. Wasn't a blow up game, but he did have 3 catches for 64 yards. Old Cole Hicatini,
my boy,
led the team in receiving. So
yeah,
at least he did something.
All right, fair enough.
He had a great catch over the top there, looking like fucking Ty Cobb over the top, just right at 3-yard line or something. Reggie Jackson. Maybe I'll go Reggie Jackson. Ty Cobb's a known racist. But all right.
Also, I all right,
what's going on?
I'm trying to put my hand around pieces of the Ty Cobb comparison. It was a catch.
Yeah, there was a catch over the head, like you would in baseball, and Ty Cobb played. But Ty Cobb also played for the Detroit Tigers, so they're talking about the Michigan Panthers.
But he's not known for that catch. He's known for running into the stands and punching out a fucking.
I fucking know. I know. All right. But yeah.
Going up spikes high. Willie Mays. Slide is second. Willie Mays made the catch, but you're right.
Yeah,
that's it. Ty Cobb.
See, you see the fucking comparison.
I mean, it was just no. Yeah. Yeah. Say Sweet Lou.
Played by Tommy Lee Jones, who people forget.
Yes.
Started offensive line for Harvard. 4 years. Let's go.
Roommates with Al Gore.
Where's your fucking CTE case now, bitches? He's recording he's doing all these lines. All right. I'm not talking cocaine, even though he was a part of Hollywood in the 80s. You know he was doing cocaine. All right. But yeah, still doing it. All right. All right. Power ranking time. All right. Number 8. I have the Houston Roughnecks. CJ.
Now are you embracing these trolls that come after you now? Houston. I mean, Houston did beat Arlington. I know it's not about results, not about victory results. I have to respect the numbers a little bit. At 0-5 is 0-5. Arlington at number 8, but a caveat on that.
You just bought a future on them.
I was just going to say a caveat. Now's a great time to get down on them to win the championship at 130-1. Also, my dead last ranked team in the league, Arlington Renegades, 0-5, number 8.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Take them to win it all, baby.
J Mark, who's your number 8?
Yeah, Renegades as well. They're terrible.
Well, that's my number 7.
Yeah, I imagine.
Number 7 is the Arlington Renegades.
And I'm with you. Well, actually, do I have Houston 7? I think I barely do. I do have Houston 7. This was a coin flip for me.
Barely.
7 and 6. Barely.
The fuck are you watching?
I'm watching Memphis fall all over themselves. Is what I'm watching. and I'm watching. I mean,
Houston 4th and 12 bullshit.
I'm not going to take them getting blown out by Birmingham against them. To be honest with you, I think you know what I mean. A lot of teams getting buried by Birmingham, but Houston does have enough on record to show that they belong in the 7th spot. Slightly below Memphis, that's for sure.
J Mark,
Showboats. They're trash. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're not winning games.
Well, that's my number 6 is the Showboats. I think it's very close to Renegade Showboats. J Mark, I'm sorry, CJ, who do you got at?
No, I agree. I went at Arlington 8, Houston 7, Memphis 6. But like you said, you can kind of throw a blanket over all 3 of those garbage teams and spit out each week would they play each other. If they were in a round robin tournament, I'm sure they would all split. Yeah. I think there's definitely a couple tiers in this league, and that's where there's the top 2, the middle 3, and then the bottom 3.
J Mark, I'm assuming you have Arlington then at 5?
Arlington was my 8.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Well, who the fuck were
that was
2 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks ago when that was 2 weeks ago when we all consensusly had Arlington at 4.
And Reddit was shitting on us, and damn it, they were right.
I hate when Reddit's right, but write it up, Reddit. They were right.
Yeah, I got Roughnecks at 6 there.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to the 280 people watching. Hit that like, hit that subscribe.
Yes.
That's 280 people watching this show is pretty much like it's like for a game at Ford Field. So gotta appreciate that. Yeah, at my number, what is it? 4 now?
5.
No, 5.
5.
I got the DC Defenders. Garbage ass team. They all suck. 5, 6, 7, 8, all trash. But DC's the best of the trash.
Yeah, I also have DC at 5. It hurts to say, as they took a huge step backwards, and despite all my opponents, calling me middle guy. Middle guy has to admit when he's wrong. The middleman in the box, and eliminate the middleman in the box. And I was as we would. Like I said, I still believe that they could do damage if they get in. To do it. Their offense still isn't bad. Besides them not being able to run the ball, Jordan Ta'amu has not been as bad. I think he's still improving. It's just him out there though by himself, and his defense is just an absolute mess.
You can't win.
J Mark, who's your number 5?
Yeah, Tamo's trash. I got Defenders as well, and I think all 4 of these teams are the bottom tier. I think they're all lumped together.
All right.
So yeah,
fair enough. Get in now. I can't say anything after looking up 45 points. So
now number 4, I got the San Antonio Brahmas. I know they injured EJ Perry. Well, I don't know if they did. He injured himself by being white. But my point is that I know they're 4-1 and the Panthers are 3-2 and they beat the Panthers. I trust the Panthers team better. I trust them more. You know what I mean? San Antonio's got a couple of these crazy wins that were bogus. Where Michigan, I feel like, and now that it's like they have 2 good quarterbacks, I'm in on this Michigan team. So I have San Antonio at 4. CJ, who you got at 4?
I agree. I have San Antonio at 4, and to me, this was an easier decision splitting San Antonio behind Michigan at 3 than it was for me, say, deciding between Memphis and Houston at 6 and 7. This was easy. I think San Antonio kind of looked, I'm going to say fortunate to win, but things kind of went their way. Dormandy, as J Mark did say, was trying to blow that game for him. Dormandy is erratic. I mean, we laugh a lot, but when we love him, Normandy, what he did with Orlando, but I mean, listen. There's only so many week after week I can say where they're overachieving. Where now I have to admit that this is who they are now. They are, and they are like I think the 3rd favorite to win it all. I'm still not a believer in them. I did like Lovett, of course, and I do like Normandy, but I think any team in the league can beat this team. Home or away. Yeah. That's how I feel with them. And I feel as compared to Michigan, who looked very solid and looks much better with the quarterback change than San Antonio does. So San Antonio is my 4th team.
J Mark, who's that number 4 for you?
Yeah, I got Brahmas as well. Just to piggyback off that a little bit, offensively, I think they're kind of the same. They can run the ball decently. Their quarterback plays a little up and down, but defensively, Michigan is just way better. So I have to have Brahmas below Michigan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sam Pierce in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in, Sam. He says Martinez is a better running back than quarterback. See, look, this is something we could talk about for a second. I don't understand why every fucking team in the league doesn't just put a mobile quarterback. Okay, McCarron's looks really good, but besides that, that's about the only one you could sell me on. You should be trying to stress out the defense as much as possible because let's be honest, the offense is I think started out the gates in all these spring leagues behind the defense. So if you're not doing that, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. You know what I mean? So, yeah. All right. Well, at number 3, I do have the Michigan Panthers. I already touched on that. They're I think the top contender, in the USFL division or whatever. So, and I would like to see that they did beat St. Louis. They did, but St. Louis looks really good since then, in my opinion. So I will put Michigan at 3. CJ?
Yeah, Michigan at 3. There's no way you could put them above St. Louis. I don't care if they did beat them. I mean, they've lost twice anyway. It was impressive win, obviously, last week, and I liked what I see. And they're definitely put a little arrow up when we write this down on the blog section of the website. A little green arrow pointing
Good
upward
round,
for this
you're
team.
celebrating with your appetite. Bad round, you're using your appetite to forget about the round. I'll tell you something about appetite. It's a real fucking great thing to have.
J Mark, who do you got at 3?
Yeah, I imagine our top 3 are all the same, unless one of you guys went crazy. But Panthers at 3.
Yes. 2, St. Louis. I think we all agree St. Louis is the second best team.
What does Colby have Panthers if coach comes out and benches Etling and starts?
Oh, they're number 1.
Perkins, the number 1, no doubt. Yeah.
All right.
You fight fire with fire. Fight running quarterbacks with running quarterbacks.
I study college football heavy. All right. He was a baller at Arizona State. He was a baller at Virginia. He can play. So yeah. What's the gap? What's the gap between 1 and 2? How big is it?
I mean, I can't wait for this game. It's getting closer. St. Louis looks better every week they play.
Yeah. Fair.
If you had to get them, you had to get them early. They are definitely ascending. Put another little arrow on my blog, them pointing upwards. I mean, at the same time, the market might be topping off at them. They're never going to look as good as they did last week. So, but at the same time, they're just improving. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. Even losing Durant, running back, they still. They have plenty back there.
So I'm having a hard time. Look, I love football. We're going to cover this, but if you, we have the Brahmas Defenders next week, which is a huge game. We know that has playoff implications.
Yeah.
That's on Sunday. The other 3 games are pretty much fucking snooze fest, right? I mean, you got the Stallions at the Showboats. That's going to be a fucking bloodbath, right? Any chance?
Should be.
Yeah. You got the Roughnecks heading to the Battle Dome, Tony Meatball and them. It's like, oh God, they're going to get fucked up. Then you got the Renegades at the Panthers. Maybe you could sell me that the Renegades can pull off the upset, but not the way that we just talked about Michigan. Kind of a little bit of a mundane week, would you say, CJ?
Yeah. Well, it's in the middle of the season. There's going to be a little, the meat of the sandwich in there, kind of. This is the bologna slice in there just for cohesiveness. So everything else, so all the veggies stick to your sandwich bread. You know what I mean? They all can't be gabagool. So
get a little bologna.
Yeah, they can't all be bruschetta out there. So, yeah, not the best of schedules. When does St. Louis play Birmingham?
Week 7, I think the chat was saying. Sam Pierce says St. Louis is number 1 to me because of consistency. They lost. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, hey, I have nothing. No problem. We have no problem with putting a team with a worse record and a head-to-head loss.
But I'm saying you can't state consistency then, because there's one team that's lost,
and Birmingham hasn't lost in 3 years.
Yeah,
that's pretty consistent.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look, I love to take a team with a loss, ranking higher than a team that is has less losses or whatever the scenario. But
I'll say there's an argument to be made. You want to argue that St. Louis is number 1? I'll listen. You'll be wrong, but I'll still listen to the argument.
I don't know. What have the Stallions, besides the monsoon, have they won by double digits every week?
No, they barely be won by 7 versus Michigan, and Michigan was driving.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's the one. But they beat Michigan. St. Louis did. But yeah. Anyway, I would disagree. J Mark, your thoughts?
I was trying to find the comment where somebody said you can't take the Stallions serious compared to the Battlehawks until the Stallions pick just one quarterback and don't use this 2 quarterback stuff.
They won 2 championships doing this shit.
I know. The comment kind of cracked me up. I don't even, you guys were on your profane train. I don't even remember the question, but
it is week 7, by the way, St. Louis at Birmingham.
And I think Stallions should be favored by 5.5. I mean, I think they are a better team. They're better on defense, though. I know St. Louis just looked good, but they weren't playing a very good team, in my opinion. The Stallions way better on defense, and I don't think that the Battlehawks can stop Adrian Martinez if he gets the start. I don't think they can. I don't think they'll have an answer for him.
That's what's going to happen. So wait. This week, is
this week. It's Corral, right?
And next week's Martinez. So then week 7 will be. Wait, is this week 5?
This is week 6.
This will be week 6.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
It'll be Corral. So yeah, week 7 would be Martinez or Jamar. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Their third string won the USFL championship. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many running backs. No Shark Dog. No. The receivers are gone. They had Thaddeus Moss, Randy Moss's son last year. It doesn't matter. They're just a leg up on everybody. Anyway, until next week, folks. Or I'm sorry, not next week. Until Thursday. Picking winners on Thursday. DFS squad too. Bring you another $12 cold hard cash.
Nice.
Make sure you check out CJ Sullivan, the Bet Detective. Check out his podcast.
That's the guy in the middle for everyone in the comments in there. I'm the one in the middle. Follow the Bottom Line Bombs.
Yes, Bottom Line Bombs podcast. Check it out. Obviously, recapping the NFL draft. CJ Sullivan, how much would they have to pay you to be an NFL fan?
Middle dude's even better.
How much would the LA Rams have to pay you to show up with your face painted in Detroit?
LA Rams to represent them in the NFL draft as a true blue Ram fan.
Yeah.
I would need a timeshare out there, obviously.
Timeshare in Michigan?
Yeah, in Michigan. That can't be too much. $40-$50, I imagine. You go get a place out there in Detroit. I don't think I'm in a Grosse Pointe area. But yeah, fly me out first class.
Some per diem at that casino. They have like a casino in Greektown. I've been there.
A per diem, yes. Yeah, the Greektown Casino. Just out there, actually, for sure. Yeah, you can pay me in chips, but I'll do it. Yeah, I'll pay. I'll got the fake Ram helmets and all.
Look, if Moose Johnson's listening to this, or hashtag UFL Jeff Sucks is listening. Well, you wouldn't listen to this because it's a podcast, but it's a podcast about his product. He would never listen to this, but it wouldn't take much to. I can show up to not the UFL draft, a UFL game. If you want to give me some per diem, fly me out to Old Ford Field. I'll dress up like a goddamn Michigan Panther. Let's go. All right. Check out J Mark. He's on Twitter at JMarkFootball.
Colby, explain to the folks at home so they can follow along this profane train that you're on what you're talking about. You're accusing the NFL of flying in fake fans to their draft over the weekend?
I've confirmed it. I've confirmed it.
I love it.
Because look, you know the Commanders
like a case for the Bet Detective, but you're all over it. I love it.
Well, you know the Commanders don't have fans.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in the DC area. I have a friend that alerted me that another friend was getting flown to Michigan, and basically getting paid to show up on behalf of the Commanders in Commander gear, to represent the NFL. So I mean, look, if they're doing it, you know damn well the San Diego or the LA Chargers are doing it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no CJ. We live in LA. How many Charger fans you meet in your life?
No, they're all crisis actors, I believe, for sure. Absolutely. Even when you go to the games, the Charger games, it just feels like it's filmed in front of a live studio audience. It feels like everyone's paid there to watch a show. I've seen more enthusiastic fans at The Price is Right. That's what I'm
saying. You know, maybe in San Diego you'd see some, just like if there was some old
definitely
Redskin
San Diego
fans.
There's definitely San Diego Charger fans. I have nothing against them. It wasn't their fault the team got ripped from them.
Yeah, and the same situation with the Redskins. Let's go. Yeah. All right, give J Mark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. Check out the Old Fashioned Football podcast, and check out the College Football Experience and the FCS College Football Experience. And we have the CFL Gambling Podcast coming soon. Subscribe. Me, J Mark. I am gonna fucking force CJ to jump in on an episode. He's gonna do comedy in Winnipeg. God damn it, the fans want to hear about his Bombers picks.
Yeah, all right. Blue Bomber picks.
Until Thursday, folks, this is the UFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot.